Hello, we are here at the Merit Poker Room. I'm George Stefanopoulos and I have Kayhan Tuğrul with me, the winner of the warm-up. Congratulations for your win, Kayhan.
Thank you, George. Yeah,
And you won $61,000 for that win, a very good amount.
it is. It is actually.
Do you play more cash games or tournaments?
I started to play poker like in home games actually as a cash player, and then it started getting bigger and bigger after winning some beautiful hands, having some money from poker, and then I started to play like almost 2-3 years, just 90% of my time as a cash player. But then I find the tournaments more interesting, more excited, and then almost like the last 10 years, 90% of my time I spent in tournaments that I'm playing poker, and 10% is like on the cash.
How do you deal with the variance of tournaments? Don't you think that it's very big and you might have very big periods with no win? How do you deal with that?
It's actually a big problem. I'm not a professional player actually. I have a business going on. But the tournaments are getting bigger and bigger in the world, in everywhere, also in Cyprus. So to finance it, you have to cash, of course, some tournaments. And then when it's not, as you said, when it's not going good in some like a period, then it makes a very much stress pressure on you. So you are right. Like the tournament, you have to have almost some cash amount on your stack, like behind.
You need a big bankroll and it's psychologically demanding, I think.
Exactly. The psychology brings everything in poker, actually.
Let's go back to the tournament. Do you remember any key hands you want to describe to us that was very important in your win?
Sure. Like we were last 3 tables. It was like almost 24 guys left. So everybody willing to go to the final table. It's a big pressure to everyone. So there was a professional poker player, a good player from Cyprus. I was also an aggressive player. I opened the race with the second position after the UTG, and then it was like double the. I just doubled the big blind. It was almost 6,000, 1,500, 3,000 blinds, 6,000, and the big blind is the professional player. He calls. He only calls. The flop comes 8, 7, and 4. A little bit scary board actually for a big blind limp, and then he can call with any card.
Please remind us your hand. Did you say your hand?
No, I don't want to say my hand.
Okay.
They listen and then they maybe think about the hand. So he checks to me, and I bet half of the pot. It was more than like 10,000, something like that, like 8,500, 9,000, something like that. He just calls. The turn comes another 4, and then he another checks.
Let me interrupt you. I think the other 4 was of hearts, the second 4. So it was 1 heart on the flop and 1 heart on the turn, because I was right above and I remember.
Exactly. The flop has 1 hearts, and then it becomes the runner flush draw with the turn. You are right, exactly. And then he checks again. So the board makes a flush draw on the turn and also a straight draw. It was already a straight draw. So I give him a draw actually with his checking and looking and expecting to see any other card. So I make an overbet.
Overbet from the pot?
Overbet the pot, yeah. Yes, of course. I make the overbet of the pot to actually protect my hand. I have a good hand, I will going to tell. So he calls. He thinks about it, but he calls, okay? And then the river comes, the 9. So the 6 makes the straight. If he has a 6, he's expecting to see a 9 or a 3. So it is a very scary card actually. And then he makes, he's speaking first. He makes a big bet, like almost the pot, 130,000. So if I call the 130,000, I'm going to left like 90,000. So it's actually a tournament decision for me, almost like the final table or not. I know how I play. If I take this pot, it's very hard that I don't go to the final table actually. So I waited like maybe 5 minutes. I tried to understand every hand. I tried to give every hand that he can have. At the end, I call. I have the pocket aces, and he shows me the king 10 hearts, like
King Jack.
King Jack, with hearts, the flush draw. Before calling the hand, I told him you have king 10 hearts.
That's why you remember King 10. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I remember king 10. Yeah, exactly. It was actually the most important part in my tournament.
How did you reach the decision of making that call? It was, as you said, a very scary board, and he led the river. The river he led in front. He donk bet, as we say.
Exactly. Like I think about a lot at that moment. I thought that if he had it like the straight, I thought that he's going to move all in. If he had the straight, okay, because he's a good player. He knows that I am almost committed, and it's going to be the decision. If I call anyway. He knows me. I think so. And the other thing is like the turn is flush draw. I pressed him very much. That one, a good player wouldn't call that much bet with a straight draw up and down. But a flush draw is more likely to call because he has got more outs, like 12 outs against 8 outs. So this all of them gives me a little bit higher than calling than folding. But it's a very hard decision actually. I can almost bust also.
Do you plan on playing on any more tournaments here?
I played a lot, also the main event. Unfortunately, I couldn't make the main event, but also I feel happy. Like taking the warm up is also very nice for me.
And how do you compare this poker room compared to other poker rooms you might have been around the world?
This poker room, like I was playing in this poker room from starting day one. It's very funny. Also, I give you this. Like the first tournament here, they make the first tournament $1,000 buy-in. I am in the final table. Heads up with Mike, another poker player. I'm becoming the second in the first tournament of merit. Then I started to come regularly. Day by day, it's becoming more professional, bigger, more players, good players, and it's really big excitement right now. Like at that days, almost every session that I came, like I play like 5-6 tournaments. Almost all the sessions I make one final table at that times. Yeah. Now it's very hard that I make almost 1 or 2 final tables in a year. So
it's getting tougher and tougher.
Is it? It is.
Don't you think there is still value here?
It is. It's much value. It's much value for, like I compare. I also go to EPTs. EPTs, of course, much more difficult than this field.
How about the services here and the staff and the dealers who are beautiful dressed? How do you like that?
The service is the best in the world, I can say honestly. Like because when you compare to the other places, everything is free here. Everything is free. Like you can drink, eat anything you want. Like it's a very comfortable thing. Most of the times, if you are a regular player, you come a lot. They give you a room. It's a very big advantage for a poker player actually, because you also have so many expenses in this field. Like it's not only playing the tournament. You come with the flight. You have to stay in the hotel. You have to eat something. Like I was being in EPT like just 2 weeks ago in Barcelona. Like almost I have to pay like 1,200 euro extra. Like in here, it's only maybe 100 euro. It's a big difference. It
is a big overhead difference on the expenses, as you said. Okay, thank you for talking to us, and we wish you the best of luck in the rest of the tournaments if you play here or in the future.
Thank you very much, George. Thank you also.